Right, so I've just done the nightclub level. Billy, would you do the honours and pick a level for us?
Yeah. How about the prison stage?
Oh, good choice. Yes, let's do the prison. Cool, there we go. So this is the prison level. As we can see in here, there's already a lot going on. Very thematic. Billy, I really like your music on this one. This is I remember the first time I heard it with the sort of level art. It sounded really cool. Fit really well. Makes me think of a spy thriller personally.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, there's kind of half the reference was, I guess, a kind of sneaky spy idea, and then the other half was I specifically asked to do something a bit urban sounding. So percussion with slightly 808s, I guess, is kind of that feel, but. Yeah, definitely spy is one influence. Yeah. I think of all the levels, particularly this one, I was happy with how the music and sound design came together. I think there was a nice kind of balance in the frequency range between the two. Like, I don't know if you have anything to add about that, but yeah. Yeah,
I'd say so. I mean, because it's kind of low key and subtle. Well, not subtle music. I think a lot of the interest in the music. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You've got that percussion. There's a lot going on. I hear there at the high end. But you've also got quite a lot of low tones, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I think that works quite nicely.
Yeah, I guess 808s are kind of the low tones.
Yeah, because that works quite nicely with all the electric sounds I've got. Whenever one of those spotlights hover over a robot, it sort of electrifies. So I've got a little sort of fizzle that I've added to them. So yeah, that sits in quite nicely. Also the spotlights as well. How did I make those? I was quite happy with those. So those are the sounds of, like, you know those fluorescent light bulbs that are like really long tubes? It's the sound of those like humming and flickering. Because I've got quite a few here where I live, so that's just easy to record. Yeah, they work quite well. In fact, there's all sorts of light bulbs I used in this. Again, using Soundly and a few recordings I took, just combining them and layering them, basically. If you just have one light bulb on its own, it doesn't really sound as interesting. I think generally that's what I've done, is like going back to the ambience I talked about in the meadow, I could have just used one recording, but layering the best parts of different files just adds more interest, I think. Yeah.
I wanted to ask roughly how are the spotlights sound triggering? Like, roughly how's that working within FMODs? Is it a one shot, or is it kind of a continuous sound or loop, or how's it functioning within the level?
It is, yeah, simply a one shot. Whenever those lights are turned on by the game, it just triggers an FMOD event, and it just plays an event that simply has an audio file in it. A single instrument is continuing that as well. It's nice and easy.
Yeah, it sounds very effective. I always presumed something else more complicated was happening, but yeah, cool.
Well, actually, there's a bit more going on with the fizzly robots. They, well, I say there's a bit more going on. There's not loads going on, but that sound actually loops from what I remember. Yeah, let's put it up on FMOD. I want to remember if there's anything more to it than that. I'm going to quickly have a look. So, yeah, here we go. So as people can see now, these are the bot reveal sounds. It's just a simple loop, really. What I've done, if I click on the single instrument, is I've added a random start offset, so it can start anywhere on this file, and it sort of fades in using somewhere. Hold on, I've got to find it. There it is. There we go. So there's an AHDSR modulator on it, so that just adds a little bit of fade in and a little bit of fade out, so it doesn't snap in straight away. Feels a bit more smoother. But yeah, the cursor can start anywhere on this audio file, so that makes it a bit more interesting. Whilst there's not a lot of sort of dynamics, I suppose, in this file, it's just kind of a fizzle. It's a real nice way to, whenever you're sort of repeating a sound that loops quite a lot, it's a real nice way to keep things different. You know, every time you play it, it's going to start at a different place in the audio file, so you're not going to hear it start in the same place twice. Okay, that's nice and easy. And yeah, as you pointed out earlier, they're just simple one-shots. So in the this is built in Unity, by the way. So the C# scripts in Unity are just triggering simple play one-shot functions, which trigger these audio files essentially. I'm looking at the music event here, Billy. And there's some stuff going on in FMOD. We've got a parameter called Prison Dark. Can you talk about that? Do you remember what that did?
Yeah, I seem to remember. So when you trigger the parameter, it is when the player steps on the switch, which turns the lights out in the level. And I think it reduces, I believe it reduces it to just the sound of the hi-hat clicking away. And I think this is if if we're going to do interactive music, it should probably highlight something to the gameplay. So this was a nice way of showing the player that like this is the special feature of this level where you can turn the lights out. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even demonstrated that yet. So if I quickly run over to one of the light switches, we can have a listen to the changing music.
There we go.
And it kicks back in. Really nice. If I quickly jump back into
FMOD, simple way of showing the player that this is the important bit of the level, basically. Is the idea of that.
Yeah, and all that is, as you can see in FMOD, and Billy can't sadly, is, we've got this parameter here, Prison Dark. So it starts at 0. Whenever a player steps on one of those switches, it switches from 0 to 1. And all that does is automate the volume of the first track, which has the sort of bulk of the audio, essentially. So we've got, the first track is called 10 Prison Loopable. I'll quickly play that on its own. And then behind that, we've got 10 Prison Hi-Hat Only Loopable. And this never drops out. There we go. So Billy, just obviously you can't hear that. To jog your memory, that second one is literally just a hi-hat you've got, and then the rest, the bulk of the music sounds like it's in that first track, so that drops out. Like I was saying earlier, I really like this is one of my favourites for music. Adds so much suspense when the switches drop out, because, in my opinion, it's because you're not afraid to pull all the music other than that hi-hat out. You know, there's quite a lot of the music you've pulled out, really.
Yeah, I've seen two things to say to that. I think I remember in the first draft, it was the other way around, so that actually the hi-hat stopped and the music carried on. But from testing it, we found it worked better the other way around. I also think your power up and power down effect really helps to bring in and out the music. Like, I don't think it would work as well without it. Like the two together definitely make it work.
Yeah, they're quite dramatic, those sounds, aren't they? I'm trying to remember how I did them. Let me quick. I'm going to play them one more time. We'll have a listen to those on their own. So the sounds I set. The idea is that those spotlights kind of lose power, so they drop out and then they come back in whenever the lights come back on. So we'll have a quick listen to that now. Yeah, I think a lot of that is synthetic. I think what I did is just grab like a MIDI item in Reaper, just added a load of random notes to it, used noise. No, well, maybe not noise. Maybe I did use some actual tones, played like a chord, and I'm just, you know, the feeling of losing power is coming from those pitch shifts, so it drops all the way down. I've just pulled the pitch right the way down when it drops out. So it goes, boom. Then when it comes back in, the lights don't fade in, they sort of flicker on. So what I've got there is a tremolo effect I've attached. At certain intervals, drops the volume, so you get this kind of stutter. It goes do as it comes back in. And I think that's the prison level. I can't think of anything else sound effect wise, anything music wise.
No, I think it's mostly covered. Other than the kind of low end little dun 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 dun. A lot of that is with the bass clarinet again. So that was kind of featured soloist in this level. But yeah, that's the main thing, I think.
Cool, very nice. Right, let's leave the level then. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about the prison is is the rioting. Do you remember the rioting?
No, I don't. What was the writing?
Rioting.
Oh, the riot. Okay, right. Yeah. All right. So for the ambience in the background, you want to sound like a prison riot. So one of the sounds was I provided like a quick example for Henry of just like me and my housemates with a Zoom H6 in the lounge making riot sounds. Quite a basic sample, but you turned it into a very good like background ambience.
It was mostly took a lot of layering with some other stuff. So there's dog barks in there, for example, and some more crowd sounds I've pulled off Soundly. It was so handy that you had like housemates that you could just quickly record for me, because this was, peak COVID from what I remember we were doing this. So
it was peak COVID, yeah.
Lockdown restrictions and stuff. It wasn't really that easy to go around your friend's house and get to record stuff. But I've just pulled up that audio file, so I'll quickly play the actual background ambience on its own for a second.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's some other stuff in there. There's like some buzzing, which is meant to sound like a prison alarm going off. I think that's really simple. That was again just some like either square waves or sawtooth waves with a bit of like distortion on it and some reverb going for that. Yeah, and then there's all your housemates there going shouting in the background. So yeah, that was really handy to have. Yeah, and as we can see in FMOD, a couple more things to make it feel more random. Again, I've got that start offset set to 50%, so it doesn't start at the beginning every time. It sort of starts somewhere random, which is really nice. And again, an AHDSR modulator on the master fader, so it fades in and fades out when the level sort of starts and ends.